The council chamber of Veltraxis Prime was massive. It floated at the center of the space station, surrounded by transparent walls that showed the stars beyond. Hundreds of alien delegates filled the seats, each from a different planet, species, or alliance. The air buzzed with quiet voices, glowing translator orbs, and silent tension. At the center stood Commander Kieran Holt, Earth's lead ambassador. He wore a sharp black uniform with the Earth emblem on his chest. His expression was calm, but his eyes were sharp and alert. "We came here to build peace," Kieran said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "But peace cannot exist without respect." High Chancellor Cyrix, a tall figure with silver skin and 6 glowing eyes, rose slowly from his seat. His long cloak flowed behind him like liquid. "Humanity has brought chaos to the stars," Cyrix replied. "You build weapons faster than you build trust. You ignore our laws. Your refusal to hand over your gravitic pulse technology is a threat to every world here." Kieran stood tall. "We refused because that tech is dangerous in the wrong hands, and some of those hands sit in this very room." A low murmur spread through the council. Cyrix raised a hand, silencing the crowd. "Then perhaps Earth no longer belongs among us. We will now vote to restrict all human trade and remove Earth from core council decisions." One by one, lights blinked across the chamber. Green for yes, red for no. Green flooded the room. The vote had passed. Kieran's jaw tightened. He looked over his team, scientists, diplomats, and soldiers. All of them waited for his next move. He stepped forward and spoke into the center orb. "Then we will leave. Not just this meeting. We will leave the council. You've made your decision. Now we make ours." Gasps filled the room. Kieran turned and walked down the silver steps. His team followed silently. As the human delegation reached the chamber doors, Kieran paused and looked back. "History will remember this day," he said. "And so will you." The doors hissed shut behind them. Outside, silence filled the corridor. Kieran walked ahead without a word. Inside, he felt a storm building. Not anger, purpose. Something was wrong. The council was hiding something, and he was going to find out what. The corridor outside the council chamber was cold and quiet. Commander Kieran Holt walked with steady steps, his boots echoing on the polished floor. The rest of the human delegation followed, unsure of what the future held. They had just left the most powerful political body in the galaxy. Kieran didn't speak until they reached the human embassy wing of Veltraxis Prime. Once inside, he turned to face his team. "We don't panic," he said. "We prepare, and we stay alert. The council didn't just vote us out. They're trying to push us into a corner. I want to know why." That night, while the others rested, Kieran sat alone in his office. Screens lit up around him, showing files, news reports, and communications intercepted over the last few weeks. One report stood out. An encrypted message from an unknown source sent just before the vote. It had no signature, just 4 words. "They are hiding something." Kieran narrowed his eyes. He opened a private channel and sent a reply. "Who are you?" The response came almost instantly. "Someone who wants to stop them. Meet me. Level 47, storage deck. 1 hour." Kieran grabbed a small pulse pistol and tucked it into his coat. He didn't trust it, but he couldn't ignore it either. Level 47 was quiet and dim, filled with cargo crates and maintenance equipment. Kieran moved carefully, watching every shadow. Then he heard a voice behind a stack of crates. "You came alone. Good." Out stepped a tall, thin alien with pale green skin and black eyes. His movements were slow, his voice soft. "My name is Relic. I'm a Zentari, a species erased from council records." "Erased?" Kieran asked. Relic nodded. "We warned the council a long time ago, about the artifact, about the danger. They didn't listen, so they removed us from their data, from the council, from history." "What artifact?" "A device buried beneath this station. Ancient, alien. It doesn't just store power, it shapes it. They say it can twist space, even time. The council keeps it hidden, and now they fear you humans will discover it." Kieran's mind raced. That's why they voted us out. Yes, your scientists came too close. They'd rather exile you than let you find the truth. Kieran looked at Relic, unsure whether to believe him. But something inside told him it made sense. The council had always been secretive. And now the way they acted, the fear in their voices, it all pointed to something bigger than politics. Why tell me this? Kieran asked. Because if they use the artifact, Relic said, they won't just control the galaxy, they could destroy it. A noise echoed down the corridor. Kieran's hand moved to his pistol. They've found us, Relic said. You need to go. I'll send more information when it's safe. Kieran nodded and slipped back into the shadows. Moments later, security bots rushed into the storage deck, scanning the area. He barely made it back to the embassy without being seen. In his office, Kieran sat down and stared at the stars through the window. The council had lied. There was more at stake than he had ever imagined. He sent a coded message to Earth Command. We've been pushed out for a reason. The council is hiding something. I'm staying to find out what. Send backup quietly. Trust no one. He shut off the comms and leaned back in his chair. The galaxy had just changed, and only he knew it. The stars outside Veltraxis Prime looked peaceful. Inside, things were anything but. Commander Kieran Holt stood in the dark of his quarters, reviewing the limited data Relic had sent him overnight. It wasn't much, just a set of old structural diagrams of the station, and a coded message, Level 99, Sub-Core Chamber, not on official maps. Kieran studied the schematics carefully. Level 99 didn't officially exist, but the support beams and wiring pointed to something large buried deep in the station's core. A hidden space, deliberately kept off records. He needed help. Not from another human. That would draw attention. No, he needed something smarter, faster. He turned to a dusty console in the corner of his room. It held a device Earth had secretly installed during construction years ago. A dormant AI named Solon, meant for crisis support. Kieran pressed his hand to the panel. The console hummed to life. Solon, online. Identity confirmed. Commander Kieran Holt. Protocol status standby. I need a silent operation. I need access to restricted areas. And I need you to stay off the station's network. Kieran said. Understood. Stealth mode activated. Objective. Guide me to level 99. Locate the sub-core chamber. Moving through Veltraxis Prime's lower decks was like walking through a ghost town. These areas were for maintenance bots and emergency systems. Few lifeforms ever came this deep. Solon's voice guided him through a small earpiece. Turn right. You'll find a maintenance shaft. Behind that panel is an access tunnel, not registered in council data. Kieran followed the path, prying open the panel and slipping inside the narrow tunnel. He crawled for what felt like forever. Finally, he dropped down into a dark, cold chamber. The room was vast. At its center stood a giant structure, smooth, black, and humming with energy. It didn't look built. It looked grown, as if the metal itself had formed over time. Strange symbols covered its surface, pulsing faintly. Confirmed, Solon said. This structure predates the council, possibly pre-civilization. Kieran approached carefully. As he got closer, the air grew heavier. Time itself seemed to slow around the artifact. This is it, he whispered. This is what they're hiding. Suddenly, the artifact reacted. A thin beam of light scanned Kieran's face. Then images flooded his mind. He saw ancient galaxies, civilizations rising and falling. He saw the artifact used as a weapon, bending space, tearing planets apart. He saw beings not alive, not dead, trapped between moments of time. And then he saw Cyrix, standing over the artifact, hand raised, preparing to activate it again. Kieran fell to his knees, gasping. Psychic interface triggered, Solon said calmly. The device holds memory imprints. Warning: use of this artifact poses multiversal risk. Kieran forced himself to stand. No wonder they want it hidden. If Cyrix uses this, it won't just be war, it'll be extinction. He backed away and pulled out a hidden recorder, capturing images and data. Suddenly, lights flared in the distance. Someone was coming. Motion detected. You must leave. Now. Kieran ran. He moved back through the tunnel, heart pounding, barely staying ahead of the security drones sweeping the corridors. Back in his quarters, he sealed the door and uploaded the data into a secure drive. He stared at the artifact's image on his screen, his face pale. "This changes everything," he said aloud. He opened a private channel to trusted contacts across the stars, scientists, journalists, rebels, allies. He prepared a message. "The Council has hidden a weapon. It's real. It's dangerous. I have proof. Watch closely." Earth wasn't pushed out. We were shut out. He didn't know how many would listen, but he knew he had to try. The galaxy deserved the truth. The message was out. Kieran's warning, along with images of the ancient artifact, spread fast through hidden channels. It was risky. The Galactic Council controlled most networks, but underground groups, rebel cells, and free scientists picked it up quickly. The responses came in within hours. "Is this real? We always knew they were hiding something. How can we help?" Kieran sat at his console, watching the responses flood in. For the first time in days he felt like he wasn't alone. But the Council reacted just as fast. In a press release broadcast across the galaxy, High Chancellor Cyrix appeared calm and confident. "Citizens of the galaxy, false information is spreading. Humans have chosen to separate themselves. They now attempt to divide us. There is no artifact. There is no danger." He paused, letting his words settle. "Commander Kieran Holt is hereby declared a fugitive. Any world offering him support will face sanctions." Kieran watched the broadcast in silence. His hands were clenched. Solon's voice echoed in his earpiece. "Surveillance has increased around the embassy. 2 council agents have been posted outside this wing." "We're running out of time," Kieran said. "We need to keep the pressure on." Across the stars, small fires of rebellion started to burn. On the planet Viril, scientists held a protest outside a council science hub, demanding access to the hidden chamber mentioned in Kieran's message. On Talara Station, a group of engineers shut down power to council communication towers for 3 hours. On Earth, citizens gathered in cities, watching Kieran's message on black market screens, chanting for answers. The artifact had become more than a secret. It had become a symbol. Back on Veltrax's Prime, Kieran moved through hidden corridors with Solon guiding him. He couldn't stay in one place for long. Drones scanned the halls. Patrols were everywhere. The council was hunting him. "Where's Relic?" Kieran asked. "He said he'd send more information." "Incoming transmission," Solon said. Relic's voice came through, low and fast. "I've seen the council's plans. Cyrix is preparing to use the artifact. Not just for control. He wants to reshape the political order, erase resistance, wipe minds, reset alliances." Kieran's chest tightened. "When?" "Soon. He needs full energy access from the station's core. He's already rerouting power. You must stop him," Commander Solon added. "My analysis shows a 92% chance Cyrix will trigger a catastrophic event. The artifact is unstable." Kieran looked out a window. The stars seemed to flicker as if space itself was reacting. He opened another private channel and recorded a second message. "To all who've seen the truth, Cyrix is preparing to activate the artifact. This is not just about Earth. This is about everyone. If we don't stop him, the galaxy as we know it ends. I need help. Now." He hit send. Back in the council chamber, Cyrix stood tall, giving orders to his inner circle. "Human influence has poisoned our unity," he said. "They have uncovered secrets not meant for their kind. Soon, that will be corrected." He turned toward a screen showing the artifact's chamber. Lights blinked, systems warmed up, and energy began to rise. No more waiting. The countdown had begun. Far below, in the quiet dark, the artifact pulsed, soft at first, then stronger. Reality began to bend. The halls of Veltrax's Prime shook as power surged through the station. Red lights blinked across every level. Warning tones echoed through the corridors. Commander Kieran Holt ran toward the central tower, the council chamber, the heart of it all. Cyrix has activated the artifact systems, Solon said in his ear. Energy output rising fast. If it continues, structural damage will begin within minutes. Then we stop him now, Kirin said, voice steady. He had sent out the warning. Some had answered. Small resistance groups inside the station began causing distractions, cutting power lines, jamming signals. Enough to buy Kirin time. He reached the chamber doors. 2 guards stepped forward. I don't want to fight you, Kirin said, raising his hands. One of the guards hesitated. They say you're a traitor. And I say Cyrix is about to rip reality apart. The guard looked at the other, then stepped aside. No words were needed. Kirin pushed through the doors. Inside, the council chamber was lit in harsh red. Delegates stood in confusion and fear. At the center of the floor, Cyrix stood alone. He was connected to a glowing control panel, projecting energy into the air above. Holograms of the artifact spun around him, displaying activation progress. 72%. 73%. Rising fast. Cyrix turned as Kirin entered. You are persistent, he said calmly. You're ending everything the council stood for, Kirin replied. Cyrix's eyes flashed. The council stood for weakness, talk, delay. We were once gods among the stars. Now we beg for peace. No more. The artifact will return order. I will decide what remains and what must be forgotten. You'll destroy reality. Cyrix smiled. Not destroy. Rewrite. The delegates began shouting. Some demanded he stop. Others backed away. Fear grew in every voice. Kirin stepped forward. Then I'll stop you myself. Cyrix raised his hand. Energy crackled from the panel. But Kirin was ready. Now, Solon whispered. Kirin pressed a trigger on his belt. A hidden pulse device, planted near the artifact's control core, sent out a strong signal. For a second, everything froze. Then the control panel sparked. The holograms shattered. Cyrix stumbled back. Override successful. Solon confirmed. Artifact power dropping. Core stabilizing. No, Cyrix roared, lunging at Kirin. The two crashed to the floor. They struggled, fists flying, but Kirin pushed Cyrix back with one solid strike. Guards rushed in, pulling Cyrix away. He screamed, "You've doomed us all." But the artifact was quiet now. The chamber slowly returned to normal light. Later the delegates gathered. Many looked shaken, some ashamed, some relieved. A senior member from the Arithel species spoke. We cannot continue like this. Secrets, weapons, power games. The council is broken. Kirin stepped forward. Then let's build something better. Together. No more hidden chambers. No more lies. There was silence. Then one by one delegates began to nod. Cyrix was taken into custody. The artifact was sealed. Solon remained in control of the chamber's system, monitoring it day and night. The council didn't fall that day. But it changed. The old ways were over. Veltrax's prime was calm again. The emergency lights were off. The halls were quiet. The council chamber stood open, no longer a place of secrets and shadows but of change. Commander Kirin Holt stood at the edge of the great window, looking out into space. The stars felt different now. Not brighter, but clearer. The weight of lies had been lifted. It had been 2 weeks since the last meeting. Cyrix was gone. He was being held in a secure off-world facility. No trial date had been set. Most delegates wanted time to understand everything that had happened. The artifact had been sealed deep underground. Only Solon had access. Even Kirin didn't know the full locking code. Security systems are stable, Solon said through the earpiece. The artifact's power remains dormant. No readings of energy spikes. Good, Kirin replied. Keep it that way. He left the window and walked down the corridor. The station felt different now, more open. Delegates no longer avoided his eyes. Some even greeted him with a quiet nod. A meeting had been called, not of the old council, but of a new gathering, one with open records, shared power, and rotating leadership. No one world would hold control again. The meeting room was simple. No golden seats, no towering symbols, just a circle of equal chairs. Kieran sat among leaders from dozens of species, some old allies, some former rivals. A delegate from the Relari spoke first. Let this be the beginning of something honest. We were blind, but now we see. Others agreed, not with cheers, with quiet voices, with calm decisions. The galaxy wasn't healed, not yet, but it had started. After the meeting, Kieran returned to his quarters. He sent one last message to Earth. The Council is changing. We have a seat again, earned, not demanded. Siric's plan failed, but we must stay watchful. We were nearly erased by a secret. That can never happen again. He closed the message and stepped outside onto the viewing platform. Solon's voice came softly. Will you return to Earth, Commander? Kieran smiled faintly. Someday, but for now I'll stay. There's more work to do here. The stars stretched endlessly before him. Somewhere out there were new dangers, new wonders, and new choices. But now, the galaxy had a chance. A real chance.